Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up. Hello everyone, I'm just popping into this video to say that in the description there's going to be lots of resources linked for how you can help the Black Lives Matter movement. So I'm going to include a link to a blog post with lots of petitions and donation links, and also some links to some videos which you can watch, just stream completely free, and the ad revenues from those videos go towards charities that help, which if you can't afford to donate, all you have to do is literally play the video. You don't even have to watch the video, you just leave it on in the background playing and you're doing something. Yeah, I'll also link some of my favourite Black booktubers as well, because I think it's so important that we all do everything that we can and just speak up about it. I'd encourage you to raise awareness with your family members and friends, and if you do have protests going on in your city and you do feel safe and comfortable going to them, then I would highly encourage you to do that as well. Yeah, it's just about using our voices and educating ourselves, and I think it's so important that we take responsibility to educate ourselves, because that should never fall on Black people's shoulders to have to do that. And as white people, I think we need to take responsibility and step up and recognise that things are not as they should be, and we need to use our privilege to speak up about that and to try and demand real change. But yeah, so check out all the resources in the description, please. And there are absolutely no excuses not to sign petitions or stream the videos, because they literally require no effort. It's like the bare minimum, and hopefully it inspires real change to make so many people's lives better. I think often online as well, we don't always realise the kind of responsibility that we have, especially if we have a platform, because you don't always realise, because you're just by yourself, so you don't always realise that your actions actually have an impact on other people. Whereas I think, like in real life, sometimes you, like say in your job or whatever, you have that responsibility and you acknowledge that, like, I'm going to be a doctor, and obviously you have like making life or death decisions in your hands, and there's a lot of conversation around that kind of responsibility. But I think often online and people with online platforms don't always, I think there needs to be more conversation about that kind of having that responsibility and how we use it, how we use our online platforms to raise awareness of issues, because that's so important. And like, if you are lucky enough to have a platform online and you're not using it responsibly and you're not using it to speak out on issues, then I think that is a real problem. And I think people need to, I've said the word responsibility so many times, but people do need to take more responsibility for that, because now so much of the world is online that these things do have an impact on people's lives. And yeah, we have to just be accountable and call out people when we see them doing something wrong, especially online, because it's so easy to like just delete posts and stuff. But yeah, I just think it's so important, and yeah, I would just encourage everyone to do what you can. And yeah, oh, and also there's the Blackout buddy read as well going on in June, so I will link that as well, hosted by Books with Shay. Yeah, also on an unrelated note, this video is quite long, so I have included timestamps as well in the description, or also go and get yourself a cup of tea or something and like settle in. And also finally, one little bit more of housekeeping, I just got my Bridge 4 t-shirt, which I'm so excited about. So yeah, so I'm really happy with it. So I read quite a bit in May, maybe not quite as much as I wanted to, but I think I just need to get used to like not reading as much, because I now have to study as well. So if you didn't know, I had a couple of years off university, so during that time, like the second year anyway, because the first year I was kind of recovering from an illness, but in the second year I mostly spent most of that time reading. So I managed to read a lot. I did have a job as well, just like in M&S, but that didn't really require much brain power, so I still had plenty left for reading. But now I think, because I'm like using my brain all day studying, I think it takes a bit more out of me, so I'm not quite as motivated to read in the evenings, but I still read quite a lot, so I'm quite proud of myself. But I didn't do very well with my Believathon, TBR. Oops. I'm going to start with the books I read for the Asian Readathon, which was hosted by Reader with Cindy in honour of Asian and Pacific Heritage Month. So the first book I read for that was Three Body Problem by Chin Liu. And this one was really, it was really good. It was really weird, but really good. Like, it kind of, I didn't really know what was going on half the time, but I also like felt really compelled to read it. If that makes sense. Like, you kind of wanted to know what was going on, so you kept reading to find out. So yeah, it's kind of, it's like saying this, so it's basically set on Earth, and there's, well, something mysterious is happening to a lot of scientists. Like, science is going haywire and scientists keep killing themselves, and also there's this like game that's emerged. Yeah, so, and on this game you go to this like different world and you're trying to almost save it from like destruction. But yeah, it's a bit of a mystery, and the main character's trying to like solve what's going on. But there's also quite a lot of like Chinese history woven into this, I think, because this is translated from Chinese, and yeah, it's just fascinating. There's some stuff with like the Red Guard, and I admittedly don't know as much about that as I probably should. Yeah, so it was interesting to see how the kind of Cultural Revolution sort of shaped the events that are going on now. But also you have some really like wacky sci-fi as well. So yeah, you got a bit of everything, and I can see why this is a classic, definitely. And also there was some really great stuff about eco-terrorism as well, which I wasn't really expecting, but it was really well done, and I think it's such an important topic, like environmentalism. And so yeah, so I would recommend this one. I think I gave it, what did I give it? 4 stars. 4 stars. So I want to get to the sequels. I have Kindle Unlimited like till the end of June, so hopefully I'll get to them in June. We'll see. But yeah, so that's that one. I talked about that for a while. So then next up I read Soul of the Sword. So I didn't read it physically. This was sent to me by the lovely Char for my birthday. So, because I'm filming this after my birthday, so I have it now physically. But I did listen to this one on audio, and I would highly recommend the audiobooks actually, they're really good. But yeah, I loved this one. I loved this one so much more than the first one as well. Well, I really enjoyed the first one. I think I gave it like 4.4 stars or maybe 3.75 stars. But this one I gave 4.5 stars because I just loved all the characters. And I think in this one, what made me love this one more than the first one was how the characters were now like together in their little group, and they had like this little squad dynamic going on, which yeah, I just love that. And I love Yumeko. She's the main character. She's a fox spirit. She's half kitsune, so half fox spirit. And yeah, I love all the kind of Japanese mythology that's like woven in here. And it just kind of reads like you're watching an anime, like all that kind of, there's lots of like action going on. And yeah, I love all the side characters. And also, I'm not sure if I should have liked him, but the kind of villain in this book, Hakai Mono, I loved him so much. He's like, in the first book, he's sort of like the spirit of this sword, so I guess Soul of the Sword. That's why it's called that. But then in this one, he's more of a like main character. And yeah, I just love him. He's like the kind of evil psychopathic version of Nightblood, but yeah, I really liked him as well. So yeah, another villain to add to my collection. Yeah, if you don't follow me on Twitter, don't. you don't want to know, honestly. So yeah, so I really enjoyed this one, and yeah. And then I also read the sequel to that because I loved it so much, so I wanted to carry on as well. So this one was another gift because I also read this one on audio and then got this for my birthday. And this one was sent to me by Caroline from Read with Caroline, so thank you so much, Caroline. And yeah, so this one is the finale. So I did enjoy this one, and I thought it was a really good conclusion, and I think it could have been 5 stars, but and I think it will be 5 stars for a lot of people, but I just don't like character deaths. I really like a happily ever after, and yeah, quite a lot of characters did die in this book, so maybe skip ahead if you haven't read this, or I'm not going to spoil it exactly, but I'm going to say something that might be considered a spoiler, so just skip ahead till I put the book down if you don't want to be spoiled, kind of. But basically all the characters die except for the main character, which I don't know, I feel like I can deal with like one side character death or maybe two, but like when they all have to go, like, was that really necessary? And I don't feel like it furthered the plot too much. But I did really enjoy this book, and I love like Yumeko's journey, and just seeing like how much she's grown since book one, I really loved. And yeah, all the kind of characters like sacrificing so much for her, and how much they all like care about the world, and they're trying to do what's best. And also there was quite, in this book, it took a bit of a twist with regards to like Yumeko's heritage, like her parents, and I really liked that. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, and obviously the mythology was amazing as always, so yeah. And yeah, my Hakai Mono, I love him. But yeah, so yeah, I was really pleased with this finale, and yeah, it could have been perfect, but and I think it will be for a lot of people, but yeah, for me it just hit me a bit too hard. So yeah, but anyway, so then next for the Asian Readathon, I read the Boat webcomic. I thought this was excellent. It was so well like crafted and put together, and it was just a really like immersive experience. So it's telling the story of some Vietnamese immigrants. I believe they were coming to the US, I might be wrong. But yeah, it just kind of told their story, and you just sort of got such a sense of like the kind of despair and how like harrowing it was. And yeah, I think it was just a really important read. And I liked how as well there was some like side bits from the comic, like it almost told the story of like real people, which I think was so great. And yeah, the comic was quite hard hitting in parts when it kept doing that like splashing sound. Oh, that really got me. But yeah, I think that's a very like moving read, and I think everyone should read it. It's really quick as well, so, and free online, so there's no excuse not to read it. But yeah, so that one was fascinating, and I would highly recommend it. And then finally for the Asian Readathon, I read my very first manga ever, and that is Fullmetal Alchemist. So yeah, so I've watched the anime and really loved it, the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood one, but I wanted to like read the manga because these editions are so pretty as well. Yeah, it's just the like pretty cover. And this one we're following two brothers, Alphonse and Edward. His name's Edward? Yeah, Edward. And they are alchemists, so they can have the power to like transform things. And they are trying to find a way to get, well, Edward has an arm missing, and Alphonse has his like whole body missing. He's in a giant metal like contraption. And yeah, and it's just about their adventures. So I just really enjoyed this. Yeah, it was great, and it was really cool seeing all like my favourite characters. Like I love Mustang and Hawkeye, and my like favourite battle couple. So yeah, I love seeing them, and also the like 7, what are they called? Homunculi? Yeah, them as well. I never understood why they're called homunculi, because when I was doing my neurology the other week, there was, I think there's a structure in the brain called the homunculus, but anyway, that's a bit irrelevant. And my favourite one is Envy. I love them so much. And I just, when I saw it like squealed, I'll see if I can find it. There they are. So yeah, I'm very happy to see that. So I'm so excited to continue on with this series. And I haven't read any manga before, but I feel like this was a really great place to start. So yeah, I would highly recommend that one. The next, probably maybe my favourite read of the month, and that is The Girl in the Stars by Mark Lawrence. So this is a spin-off book from the from the Book of the Ancestor series. And it doesn't, I don't think you'd have to have read the Book of the Ancestor at all to really understand this book, because it doesn't like follow any of the characters or anything. I think it might even be a prequel. I do have like a crackpot theory about the main character in this. That's completely unfounded, even wilder than my Seth is a Kandra theory. But so yeah, so this one is, we're following Yaz, who is like living in this world that's like the tribes, the ice tribes, and it's quite a barren world, and they're like doing everything they can for survival. And I don't really want to say too much, because I thought anyway, there's such a great plot twist at like the start of the first chapter. I probably should have seen it coming, but I didn't. But anyway, yeah, so this book is, it's almost like the Hunger Games or like the Maze Runner or something, but it kind of has that feel to it. But yeah, so they're trying to like, these like kids are like coming together. Well, I'm not sure they're all kids, like young people are trying to come together and like survive in this like really icy like world that kind of hates them. And there's like this city as well, like this abandoned city stuff going on there, and yeah, it's really cool. And I loved Yaz, the main character. She has such like big dick energy. She's just going around like throwing down all these other characters, but yeah, she was great. And one of the other characters as well, I think his name was it Thorin? Yeah, Thorin. I really liked him, and yeah, he was a bit at parts, but yeah, I loved him. And the little character Maya as well, I really liked her. She's like a shadow weaver. Yeah, she was cool. So I just really enjoyed this one. I thought it was such an enjoyable read. The ending, if you read this book, I have to chat about it with someone, because yeah, I was like a gasp. I think this book had 3 moments where I was like what just happened, and the last line was one of them. I think this one might be rivaling Mark Blackthorne's "Why Lie" at the end of Lady Midnight for my favourite ending line in a book ever. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and I would highly recommend it. So then next I read Library of the Unwritten by AJ Hackworth. So I really enjoyed this one. I love this cover. It reminds me so much of Spooky Mum and Eldream from the Book of Mormon. But yeah, this was just a really enjoyable read. We're kind of following this librarian who's like it's like Hell's library basically. Well, a library in Hell. This kind of world has like different realms. And that's where all like books that haven't ever been completed or like haven't ever even been written go to this world. And then one day this hero, a handsome hero, escaped from his book and gets involved with the librarian Claire, and also she has her assistant Brevity, and then there's this random like demon called Leto, and then they all have to team up to try and track down Hero's author. And then there's also this angel who's like on their case. This kind of reminded me of Good Omens actually, but like in a library setting, so good for like bookworms. But yeah, this one was really great, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, the like group dynamic, and like Leto the demon, he's like so nervous, like he's like Windle from the Stormlight Archive, like in a person. He was so fun. And yeah, Claire was a really great character, kind of like spunky and sassy. But yeah, this was just really fun. So I gave this one 4 stars. Oh, I didn't mention, I gave The Girl and the Stars 5 stars, and Fullmetal Alchemist 5 stars. I'm bad at star ratings. So yeah, so this one was enjoyable. I think I didn't give it 5 stars because it just didn't quite like hit that it's the favourite mark. But it was still a really solid read, and yeah, so I enjoyed that one. And then next one I didn't enjoy, and that is The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. So I'm really sorry if you love this book, but I just could not hack it. It just makes me so angry. So yeah, I just really could not get over the kind of sexism and fat phobia in this book, and I didn't think the storyline was enough to I didn't like it enough to like forgive that. I mean, you shouldn't really forgive it anyway, but occasionally I can like look over a tiny bit of sexism in adult fantasy, especially if it was written a long time ago, if it's a really good like plot or like really good characters. But this one was just, it was bad, and it's not even challenged at all in the world, which I think was not good. I think even one character, like even a character could have just said something and it would have been better. And then yeah, so the sexism was pretty bad. And then also there was this, like in the first like few pages, like a female character will get introduced and then get killed off straight away, and that happens about 2 or 3 times, which and then I did quite like Liv though. She was a decent character, and then there was some horrible fat phobia, like there was this like description. So Kip, the main character, he's described as being a bit chubby, and like that's okay, and like his descriptions are okay, but then this woman is described and it was horrendous. It was like she was described as like wobbling and like jiggly, and there was a line I can't remember off the top of my head, but I did tweet about it, and it was just, it made me like maybe I would have given the book 3 stars, but this one just no, like cut it down to 2, because I maybe would have given it 1 star, but I am incapable of giving books 1 star. But on its plus side, because I'm trying to be objective, the narrator for the audiobook did a really good job actually. I think he was a great narrator, and I did like the characters I liked were Gavin, Guile and Liv, so I like them too. Yeah, the like fake Gavin I was a bit confused at first which Gavin was which, because there's like two of them. But yeah, I did quite like him, and also yeah, Liv, I liked her. But yeah, Kip is going in the naughty characters of shame list, along with Kavaith and Harry Dresden. They're my like 3 most hated characters. Yeah, so I was very disappointed by this one, and I don't think I'll be continuing with the series. There's so many other like great fantasy out there, so yeah. Okay, so then I read Aurora Burning, which is the sequel to Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I'll say it right this time. I think in the video I said Amy Kristoff and Jay Kaufman. So yeah, so I enjoyed this one. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was a decent sequel. Like, I really enjoy the characters. I think that's the like strong point of this book for me. Like, I love Tyler. He's like a golden boy, and Scarlet and Finn. I love them. And I love Tyler and Scarlett's like sibling dynamic as well. But I think in this book there was a bit too much of Cal and Aurora. They're not my like favourite characters really, but this book was like mainly focusing on them. And also I felt like the end of the book was missing, which is maybe why I gave it 3.5 instead of 4. Just, yeah, it was kind of a cliffhanger, but it was also sort of a non-explained cliffhanger. I don't know if that made sense, but like, I don't know if you could infer what was going on, because there was some pretty obvious foreshadowing. Like, I think there's some time travel going on. Only a bit obvious. It took me a little while to get through, and also the writing slightly grated on me a bit. I don't know if it was just a bit too cheesy or something. Like, there was this scene where Scarlett's talking about her like boobs, and she keeps referring to them as tatters or something. That was kind of weird. But yeah, that was a strange scene. But anyway, yeah, so I enjoyed it, but like, it wasn't the best book ever or anything. So the next I listened to Promise of Blood by Brian McLachlan, something along those lines. And this one redeemed adult fantasy written by men for me after listening to the Black Prism. So I also listened to this one on audiobook, and the audiobook was also really good. So this one is just, it's a bunch of disaster characters. they're all like complete and they've like just staged this coup basically in the city, and they're trying to like sort out and like run the city now. So yeah, so I really enjoyed the characters in this one. I thought they were quite fun, and yeah, the magic system's kind of cool as well. It's like something to do with like powder, and it's a bit of like a steampunky fantasy, which I really love steampunk. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and I'm excited to read the next books. Okay, so then next was the only Believathon book I read, which I didn't do very well, but I wasn't really in the mood for middle grade, so, you know, you have to go where the mood takes you. But I did really enjoy the one I did read, and that was the Polar Bears Explorers Club. So yeah, so I gave this one 3.75 stars, maybe 4. I haven't decided. But yeah, this one was just so great. It was so like adorable, and the group dynamic I thought was really great. There's kind of, yeah, like 4 main kids, and they're basically this like, the main girl, whose name I can't actually remember, but they're going on this mission, and she's going like with her, I think her uncle maybe, or father, one of the two, and they're going like out into the wilderness. And yeah, her uncle / father is part of the Polar Bears Explorers Club, which is like this gentleman's club basically, and she is like wanting to be part of it. But yeah, and then her and these 3 other kiddies get separated, and then they end up on their own and like trying to survive out in this wilderness. But yeah, it was just really enjoyable, and I love a good like polar fantasy. So I enjoyed this one, and I'm definitely gonna like carry on with the series, because yeah, the characters were so cute, and I just love middle grade. So I really enjoyed that one. So the next I read Theonite Orbit, which is by M.L. Wang. So this is the like prequel series. No, it's not a prequel. It's a sequel series, but it was written before The Sword of Kaigan. So it's quite different from The Sword of Kaigan, but I still really loved it. I gave it 5 stars because it's very like moving. I think this one is probably written for not a younger audience, but it sort of feels like a younger audience, because it's more, well, the characters are younger. The characters are about 13, and also just the themes of like friendship and belonging. And this one had such a good like found family like feeling. There's some good characters, and this one also, one of the main characters was Izumo, who is one of Misaki's sons, her youngest son from Sword of Kagan. So he was one of the characters in this, and yeah, I just loved him. He's like trying to live up to his family's legacy, which is so cool. And obviously Joan and Daniel, they're such great characters as well. And Daniel in this book was like dealing with kind of the events of the last one, and it was just so like emotional to see him kind of dealing with that like grief. And yeah, he was a bit destructive at times, which I think was quite like realistic, so I really loved that. And I just love the like space station setting. It's like all set in space, and they're like running around on this space station, and yeah, it was just so cool. And Jane's such a great character as well. She's like very like strong in what she believes, and yeah, so I just really enjoyed this one. So I'd highly recommend read The Sword of Kagan, because that book is amazing. But also, if you read The Sword of Kagan and you enjoyed it, I would highly recommend the Theonite series. So Planet Adin, I think, is the first one, and then this one, Orbit, because it is different, so I think you have to know what to expect going in. But it's still really enjoyable, and yeah, it's almost like a middle grade. It's just kind of really like friendships and like believing in yourself and that kind of message. So yeah, and it does, I like, all her books make me so emotional. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one, and I think it's hopefully gonna get a sequel, because I think it does read like 1, 2, and I think there was a third one planned. I don't know if it's ever gonna get released, but I really hope it does. Then next I read Age of Empire, which is the final book in Legends of the first Empire series, and I gave this one 5 stars. And I think my Goodreads review says it all, so I'll leave it a little screenshot of it here. But yeah, yeah, I just love this book so much. And I think the second to last book, Age of Death, I think was probably maybe my least favourite. Maybe that or the first one is my least favourite in the series. But the series has definitely become like one of my all-time favourite series. And I loved how this book was mostly like Bryn's book. So Bryn is one of the main characters, and she's probably my favourite character. And yeah, this was like very much her book, and yeah, I just loved it. I loved all the like themes of kind of forgiveness and like letting go, like forgiving yourself and forgiving others. And I liked how it all came to a conclusion, and there were some quite emotional moments. Yeah, I did think there was one thing that I did think was going to happen, which didn't, but I'm not too surprised. And I think if you read the other like Theft of Swords series, you do sort of know-ish how it ends, but I still think it was done really well. I just really loved it. I loved all the like, there's quite a bit of it takes place in like the underworld as well, which is so cool. That was great. I think I would, if I had a tiny criticism, I would like to see more of Suri, who is one of the characters in this book. I think, yeah, I love her. So her books were more the kind of first 3. She was more of a focus character. And obviously this series has one of my favourite book himbos, so I love him. Yeah, Tej, he's great. So yeah, so I just really enjoyed the ending, and yeah. Okay, then next, this is like not at all what I usually read, but I read The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. So this is like a romance, adult romance basically. I don't know if it's like quite adult romance, like Kindle Unlimited or some dodgy covers on there. But yeah, but this one was this main character. She finds out her dad is dying of lung cancer, and so her parents are separated, and she lives in like Toronto with her mum, and so she goes to Alaska where her dad lives to kind of spend time with him, and she's very estranged from her father, like they haven't spoken, she was quite young, so she's kind of rekindling her relationship with her father. And then she also meets this like gruff Alaskan man who kind of, there's a bit of romance going on there. But I gave this one 3 stars, I think. I think maybe I'm leaning more towards 3, because there were some things that like grated me a bit wrong about this book. Because, well, first of all, I didn't like the main character Kyla that much. I think she was maybe meant to be unlikable, especially at first. But she's quite like judgmental, and I'm a very like non-judgmental person. So yeah, I didn't really like that. And there was some questionable behaviour by the love interest. Like, she has her like bags and stuff from Toronto, and he like hides them in his cabin for like days, so she has to like deal without her bags. And I don't know, I get the point of that for the story, but that's like not appropriate behavior at all. So I don't know, I didn't really like that. And how he's always going on about how much better she looks without makeup. And I guess it's good to be confident in yourself without makeup, but I don't think you should ever shame someone for like wearing makeup, which sort of goes on a bit in this book as well. So yeah, I didn't quite like that, but I did think it was like a cute story, and I loved all the like Alaska stuff. I thought that was so cool. And I did like Calla's growth, because she's like quite a like a privileged city kid, and she does kind of grow a bit as a person, like expand her bubble a little bit. But yeah, the like Alaskan stuff is really cool, and there's lots of like planes stuff, which I get quite bad like flight anxiety, but I did like the plane stuff in this one. It's like her dad runs a plane company basically. So yeah, so I thought it was okay, but it's not like anything to like, it's not a new favourite book or anything. So yeah, I was just in the mood for a bit of romance. And along the kind of romancy lines, but this one's more of a romance fantasy, I have The Raven and the Dove by Caitlin Davis. So I really enjoyed this one. This one was on Kindle Unlimited. And yeah, it was just a really great story. This one has such a great love triangle. It was like a Will, Jem, Tessa love triangle, basically, because there's like these two brothers, and one is like this grumpy kind of, oh, no one will love me kind of character who like is quite tortured. And then there's this other one who's like quite kind and like just wants what's best. And then yeah, the main girl, the Liana, she's like the dove, and she basically gets betrayed to one of them, but she thinks it's all a bit of like confused identity going on. Yeah, but I just thought it was great, and it's like, it's not mind-blowing or anything, it's just a pretty standard YA fantasy. But I think it was actually executed really well, and yeah, it just flows really nicely. And there's like four main characters. So there's Liana, then the two like love interests who like, one is the prince and then one is the prince's like bastard brother. And initially there's this like competition for courtship which is so cool. It's like the selection or something. But and the bastard brother takes the place of the actual prince to try and like win this competition. And then yeah, and then the like Liana gets engaged to the prince, thinking it's the bastard prince, and yeah, it's all a bit of a mess. But yes, and then the fourth character, Cassie, she's like one of my new favourite characters of all time. I just loved her so much. She's quite like morally grey, and she's like the one who like knows what's going on, and like yeah, I just loved her. She's like, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, she's like got quite a lot of secrets of her own, and like she's just completely like running her own agenda and show while these other characters are like messing about with their love lives. But yeah, so it was really enjoyable, and I think if you're in the mood for just some like light romancy YA fantasy, then I would highly recommend that one. Then next I read Seven Blades in Black, so I listened to the audiobook for this one, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. I was at first a bit apprehensive about the audiobook because I think the narrator didn't quite match like Sal as a character, how I pictured her in my head, but it did grow on me quite a lot. So I gave Seven Blades Black 4 stars, and I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was good. I think the reason I didn't give it 5 stars was maybe the plot was a little meandery. Like there wasn't a huge amount, and also I was really confused why Sal was out for revenge. So basically the main character Sal, she's got this like hit list, and she's trying to get all these like men on her list, but I don't know if I just missed it or something. But I never got quite why she was after them. But yeah, so if anyone would like to tell me that. But I don't think it really lessened my enjoyment of the book at all, because I love Sal. She's such a character that's like a vibrant character, and she just like jumps off the page at you. And her love interest, Leah, as well. I loved her so much. She's probably my favourite character. Yeah, she is so great. She's like an inventor, and like not shy, but she's quite like sassy with Sal. And yeah, she's just like a crazy inventor basically. So I loved her. And yeah, and her like inventor name is so cool. It's like 22 dead roses in a porcelain vase or something, which is amazing. It's so cool. And also there's another character, Caverick, who I loved him. He was like Sal basically adopted him. He was just like this little dumb puppy who just followed her around. Oh. Yeah, so I loved him. So yeah, I thought it was a really solid book. The characters were definitely like the strong point of this book. Yeah, the plot could have been a little bit more cohesive, I guess, but I still really enjoyed it. And I also quite like the structure of the story as well. So it's sort of told in like two things. So like one is like Sal when she's in, so Sal has basically like been taken captive, and she's telling her story to like the governor militant, and so you have that part, and then you also have Sal like telling her story of how she got to that part. So it's kind of like the Rune of Kings in that regard, that kind of story structure, which I quite like. So yeah, I enjoyed that as well. And I also read the little novella that goes before it called The Gallows Black, which is how Sal and Liette met. So I really enjoyed that one as well. I don't usually love novellas, and this one, it wasn't like amazing or anything. I gave it 4 stars. It was still really enjoyable, and I like seeing like more of Sal and Liette's relationship, so I enjoyed that one. Then I read Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, so I gave this one 5 stars. I love this one. It's the first book I've ever read in poetry, no, in verse. It's a poetry book, and yeah, I just loved it so much. I will just like a trigger warning though, it does contain a plane crash, which I have such bad flight anxiety, so that really like made me a bit upset. And I have to like yeah, because I get like, even when I'm just at home and I'm like nowhere near a plane, or we don't even have a holiday booked or anything, I will like randomly like freeze up and get really scared of being in a plane crash. I don't know why, but like when I'm actually on a plane, I'm okay. Lots of diazepam. But yeah, it's like the airport and takeoff, I just really hate. It makes me so anxious. But yeah, so it does have that. But the book was so great, and it follows 2 sisters, but they don't, well, half sisters, but they don't actually know they're sisters. So their father has like been living separate lives basically. So one is based in the Dominican Republic and one is based in New York, and it's just kind of following their lives, and then how so their father dies in this plane crash, and it's just sort of following their lives after that, and how they eventually kind of end up coming together and finding out about each other and how they deal with that. So yeah, so it was just such a great book. And I've read With the Fahrenheit by her, which I really enjoyed. I haven't actually read The Poet X yet because I was a bit intimidated, I don't know, by poetry, but I'm definitely going to read that now because I just love Clap When You Land so much, and there were so many great quotes that I like highlighted. So yeah, it was a great book. So, and I loved all the water metaphors in this book. It was yeah, there were so many great like water metaphors, and I just love water. So yeah, that was a great one as well. And then finally this one, I read Check Please, which I read it online actually, but I loved it so much that I ordered myself the physical copy. So the second one hasn't arrived yet, but hopefully arrive soon. But yeah, so I just love this one so much. I gave them both 5 stars, obviously. They're just so wholesome, so wholesome, like the wholesomest thing ever. I never thought I'd find anything more wholesome than Heartstopper, but I think I have. So yeah, I just loved it so much. We're following Bitty, or Bittle, who is just starting at college, well, university, and yeah, and he really loves baking. It's so funny. He's living in this basically frat house of like all these hockey players, and he's a hockey player as well, but he also like bakes loads. So he's just like feeding them all, and yeah, just the friendship, the group like squad. Although there's like 5 I think at the start, and then gradually more come, but they're just all so great, and they're so supportive of each other. And there's like 2 like dumb inmates who I really loved. They have these like little sections which is like hockey talk with what are their names, Ransom and Holster, I think. But yeah, I just love them. They're so funny. And then Bittle, the main character, he's so adorable. And then also this is a an LGBTQ plus romance, so it's a gay romance. And his love interest Jack as well, he's like a bit of a grumpy. So they definitely have like a grumpy sunshine dynamic going on. But yeah, I just loved it. I love both volumes so much. Yeah, it was very emotional towards the end, and yeah, just read it. It's like, and I don't know a lot about ice hockey. It's not really a very big thing here in the UK, but I learned quite a bit about it, which I think was super cool. And yeah, I loved all the baking stuff. I love baking. And yeah, so I just it was so adorable. And yeah, just read it because it'll just make your day. And yeah, and the artwork is stunning as well. It's just, yeah, and it's all in colour, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna treasure these forever. So yeah, so adorable. But yeah, I would highly recommend these, and these are by Ngozi Ukazu, so yeah, I highly recommend them. So that is everything. So this is a very long video looking at the time, so I might split this up into 2 parts, we'll see. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you next time.